So we finally get to the end of the longest football season ever recorded in history. Matchweek 38 preview coming up with myself, Ross, and my special guests, Bob Holmes, Des Corkill, and Craig Marias. As usual, you can tweet us, you can follow us on social media. It's BFM Football on Instagram and on Facebook as well. And give our YouTube channel, TFIF on video, a follow. Right, before we get to match week 38, then, gents, let's talk about the football that happened midweek, the remaining match week 37 matches. The big one happened Wednesday night, Des Corkill, Liverpool 5, Chelsea 3. Jordan Henderson traipsed out after the game to get the trophy from Sir Kenny Dalglish. Did it bring a lump to your throat? Did it make you cry, soft lad?
So surprisingly, yes, because I've been pretty low-key-ish about it. I'm sure the guys will admit it. But when I got up to watch it, especially in the wee hours, and it was special. It really was special. I remember 1990 and all the drama of Hillsborough, the winning at the title after that. But then it was an expectation that Liverpool would do these things. And now that was a very dramatic, expensive celebration, expensive trophy lift, but one that's the end of a culmination of 4 years, incredible work by Jurgen Klopp. And it brought a lump to the throat, and it's something that you will remember for years and years to come.
Bob, we mentioned it before. It's the ideal ending to Shanks, Yanks, and Jurgen, your book. Did you feel emotional seeing Liverpool win it? Because you remember, it was 30 years ago, right? The last time they won it.
Yeah, I did a bit, even though my emotions were going the other way, listening to how Forest were getting on.
We'll come to that in a bit.
Okay. But I did think it was pretty special, given the fact that there was nobody in the stadium. I think they did very well to put on a show like that. On the Kop, the significance of having the stage on the Kop, having Kenny present the trophy and all that. They did their best, but I still feel that it was an I was there moment that thousands of Liverpool fans would have experienced in their living rooms. You can't get away from the fact that this was a season when, Liverpool were fantastic, a season for the ages, and yet the climax was carried out behind closed doors. And I think that's a great shame. I think eventually the magnitude of Liverpool's triumph will overcome that, and people won't think about that. But I think right now it has taken something away from it, because can you imagine what it would have been like with 54,000 fans in that stadium last night? Yeah. It would have been something else, wouldn't it? Yeah. And they were deprived of that.
They were, but these are strange times. All right, Craig, the game itself then, 8-goal thriller. There was a period in that first half. I know you're a United fan, but I'm going to get you to put your logical head on. There was a period in that in the first half, when Liverpool raced to the 3-goal lead. That was Liverpool in the irresistible spell. That's how they've been blitzing the league this season. And let's face it, that's great to watch, right?
Yeah, correct, Ross. That's the Liverpool side that we saw pre-COVID-19. It was swashbuckling. It was, attacking football. It was just really good to watch. And it started off by an absolute screamer of a strike from Naby Keita. And this is a player who, he's had his criticism. He come for 50 odd million, I think it was. Hasn't really got his Liverpool career going. And I think, Des, as a Liverpool fan, would admit that. But to pay 50 million for a player, there must be something there. And I think with him, it's just a matter of being fit, getting a run of games, and you'll see more of that kind of those kind of goals. But you just look all around and everyone that scored in the first half, I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold, what a player he's become.
What a player.
I mean, we see in the last 3 years, you see a transformation from a kid from an academy, making that step up to senior football. Let's not forget, he's not actually a right back, and he's a central midfield player who, over the last 3, 4, 5 years maybe, has been converted to that right wing back position. But what he's done as well, I mean, he's kind of reinvented the position. We talk about fullbacks or wingers these days. For me personally, he offers a lot more. I mean, you got the dead ball specialty that he brings to the team. I mean, his cross for Firmino's goal was absolutely out of this world. I mean, it's as pinpoint as you want it to be. I mean, the whip that he got on that, his technique is to leave Kepa just standing there for the free kick is outstanding. And the one that really which I really enjoyed watching was Wijnaldum getting a goal, because I think your Salahs get your mentions, your Manes will get a mention, your Van Dijks, Trent. But this is a player who I feel makes that midfield tick. They got him for 20 million from Newcastle, and again, I think he was a winger before. He's come into a more central position now, and I really think he's an unsung hero in that Klopp midfield. I really do. I like the way he plays. He makes them tick, as I mentioned before, and it was good to see him get on the score sheet as well. And like a lot of people, I mean, I think every team, when you win trophies and when you win titles, you'll always have that one unsung hero in that starting 11 who's played a lot of games, but has gone about his business quietly and doesn't really get that mention. And for me, that's Wijnaldum.
Yeah, he was very good. Liverpool were very good. Let's talk Chelsea up a little bit here, Des, because they did put on a show at one point. I thought, hey, is a comeback on here? Again, Olivier Giroud, 33 years old, much maligned. He's leading the line. He's proving invaluable. And this Pulisic guy who came on as a sub, instant impact. They look good, Chelsea.
Hey, Ross, on last night, why the hell would I talk Chelsea up, huh?
Because we're that kind of show, Des.
Not last night, we're not. Last night, I'm absolutely red. I couldn't give a damn about Chelsea, because Liverpool owe Chelsea after what they did in 2014 and Steven Gerrard. I really hope they miss out on the final day of the season because of 2014 and Steven Gerrard. And I'm absolutely not going to show any remorse on that. I'm a red through and through on this day, absolutely.
But Des, it was Chelsea that won the title for you when they beat City.
No, they didn't. Liverpool won the title by picking up 96 points in 37 games.
Yep.
If I may just add one thing. Chelsea came and had a goal last night. They made it a football festival. So it was a game of football that you had two teams really going for it. And that was great to see. And with my £150 million per team hat on, well done to them. More teams should do that.
Well done, Chelsea. That's as close to a thumbs up as you're going to get from Des Corkill. Right, moving on then. Craig Marias, Man United won, West Ham won. Man United, this is the game after the Chelsea semi-final defeat. Your team are looking lethargic here, Craig.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't mention the two big shouts that I got correct last week.
You did. I was going to get to that. I did give you a big shout out on our Facebook page. I said Craig got them right.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this. I mean, the weekend's performance coming. To be honest with you, after the previous two games, and I can't say I was really surprised again. I did think they'll pick themselves up slightly after the criticism that came with the semi-final defeat. But again, they didn't rise to the occasion, and it's a little bit worrying because they got themselves into a situation. I think, before the restart, if you had told anyone, they'll be challenging. It's in their hands to get into the Champions League. They would have taken it and bitten your hand off. But it's got to the situation where I think, as your Manchester United, your big players, you really needed to step up. And I think when it's come to step up, the last two games, they really haven't. And it's a little bit worrying because going into Sunday's match, I mean, it's still in their court, and I know they only need a point, but I mean, it's not secure by any stretch of the imagination, and we know football. We've seen weird things happen. As Bob,
we know
Bob
Man
can
United.
attest.
When you tell them they need a point, yeah.
And as Bob can attest to, in terms of football's a funny game, and the strangest things can happen. It's not. As United fans, we're going to go into that Sunday absolutely sitting on the edge of our seats because we don't know what's going to happen. I think performance from a performance point of view, soft penalty to give away. I mean, what Paul Pogba was doing there, I can tell you. But we managed to get ourselves out of it in the second half. It was marginally better, but still nowhere near the kind of quality that needs to get 3 points in the Premier League. And then that's what United got.
Yeah, Des, do you reckon Pogba didn't trust the gear? That's why he thought, I'm going to be goalie here.
So no, I think David De Gea has made mistakes, but he's been a fantastic professional for Manchester United for 5 or 6 years and deserves a lot more. He's got more in the bank than that. Pogba's was just unprofessional. If you're paying a near £100 million for a midfielder, you do not expect that. You expect that in Sunday League. No, actually, you don't expect that in Sunday League. And instead, you've got it in a really important game for Manchester United. And just when I thought, United and Pogba had turned a corner, he goes and does something like that. And that could well cost them big time, could cost them a Champions League place if they don't get a draw against Leicester. And you just get rid of somebody who doesn't do stuff for you at the very top level when you're paying top dollar.
Yeah. Another question mark over Paul Pogba. On to West Ham, Bob Holmes. Mikel Antonio has scored more goals in the last 22 days than he has in the last 2 seasons for West Ham, which is amazing. He looks like a beast when he's on fire. You know what I mean? He's the size of it. But it's David Moyes. He's got this team playing. I thought Jared Bowen was superb, tireless workhorse on that right-hand side.
Yeah, he has saved West Ham from relegation twice. Not a bad thing to have on your CV, is it? Good for him. I mean, he was much maligned at United and elsewhere, but I think he had a bad kind of rap, really. I mean, he's not a bad manager. Look what he did at Everton. You don't keep Everton, a fairly mediocre Everton, for much of that time, up in the higher echelons of the top flight for 10 years with relatively little money, without having something to offer. He was not right for United, no, but he didn't become a terrible manager overnight. And I think this is a sign of redemption for him. I think he'll stay there. I don't think they'll sack him this time around after he did the job for them last time. And it'll be interesting to see if he can build on that for next season. But West Ham...
Sorry, Bob. His contract runs up until the end of this
just this season,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So... I mean, it's
sack him. I mean, get rid of him. Get rid of him. However you want to call it,
Yeah.
I think it was something.
Get a new contract.
I think he might, because who else are they going to go for?
Exactly.
And he's proved it twice, hasn't he? He can get something out of this team. I think it would be a bit harsh, to say the least, if they were to get rid of him now, unless they go for Nigel Pearson or something like that. But he's done a pretty good job there. I mean, at one point they did look as if they might slip down, didn't they? They seemed to have the momentum was going against them, and other teams were showing signs. But he held them together. And Mikel Antonio, I remember, he's an ex-Forest player. He was a class above the Championship. He was a real force as a striker for Forest. But at West Ham, he's been played all over the place. Sam Allardyce, I think, played him at full back.
Right back, yeah.
I mean, that's typical of Sam Allardyce. But David Moyes has unleashed him, and you've seen the results.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is a powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
He can head a ball, he can shoot with either foot. And Sam Allardyce actually picked him for England, you know. He didn't play, he didn't get a cap, but he picked him in the squad, which was a belated recognition of his talent. So I think you're going to see something from the guy next season, actually. He is a bit of an unsung hero. So West Ham, did okay. They're sure now, aren't they, to stay up. But it's between Watford and Villa now, isn't it? The battle. You want to talk about that a bit later on.
Yep. Okay. Let's that point enough to keep West Ham in the Premier League for this season. Their final game is against Aston Villa, and it's now worth a lot because Aston Villa, Craig, showed a lot of courage to beat Arsenal 1-0. It means they've got a cup final coming up on Sunday, but yeah, let's face it, nobody saw this from this Villa side.
No, definitely not. I mean, we've watched Villa over the past few weeks, and I mean, I still stick to the fact that they're going to go down. Bournemouth and them, I think they're doomed. But leading up to this performance, you didn't really see it coming. I mean, what they've done post, after the restart, I mean, they've definitely shored up their defence. I think they've defended a lot better. They've been a lot harder to break down, but they're still lacking the quality in offensive areas. Now, step up Trezeguet, over the last 2 weeks.
Hang on, let me jump in there. What's his first name?
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely not David. It's not David.
No,
He's
it's not
finishing like
David.
him, though. He's finishing like him, but
Yeah.
it's not David. But yeah, I mean, it's just Trezeguet, I think. But he stepped up. When it's mattered, he stepped up. They've always been a little bit short of goals, Villa this season, which was my main concern. I used earlier on in the season, I used Watford as a good example. They had Troy Deeney, someone is an outlet to get goals. I could see them staying up. Southampton similar. Had Danny Ings, I could see them staying up. With these, and even Bournemouth, actually, I predicted that they could stay up because they had, the likes of Callum Wilson, Josh King, everyone to chip in with goals, but they haven't. But, Trezeguet's really stepped up in the last couple of game weeks. The performance, I think, from Arsenal's point of view, is very disappointing on the back of, an impressive victory in the FA Cup semi-final against Man City. You really expect them to push on and Arteta, obviously, has been doing something right there. This was a must. It was a winnable game, definitely for Arsenal. But I think Villa just wanted it that slightly bit more. They needed that kind of fight, to be honest, that kind of mentality going into the game. No one gave them a chance. They come up with 3 points, which I'm sure Dean Smith would have looked at this picture and said, okay, maybe we're not going to get anything from this. But they did. They fought like lions, and they got. They've taken it to the last game of the season, and it's going to be what an ending to the season this is going to be.
It would, but they're dreadful. They bring very little to the table. The goal against Arsenal was, I think, Arsenal didn't have a shot on goal. So what the heck happened to Arsenal after the wins over Liverpool and Manchester City? Maybe the guys were tired. But it was a dreadful game of football. I don't know whether you could stomach yourself to watch for 90 minutes. I tried. I kept on turning over because Villa do nothing constructive. They don't try to play progressive football. They rely on balls down the channels, getting into set plays, which if you're Sunday League or your conference is acceptable. If you're in the Premier League, you've got to be a damn sight better than that. And Aston Villa aren't. And I can almost hear Craig saying, but the situation demands them being practical. If they tried to play football, they wouldn't be in this situation in the first place.
Yeah. Okay. No sympathy for Aston Villa.
But it's the 150 million again.
Yeah.
They should be better. If you cannot construct a team that are capable of getting it on the ground and trying to play constructive football, zero sympathy. And Burnley are going to finish 8th again. Holy mackerel!
But then you see the difference with Norwich when they've tried to play football and the situation it's got them into. So I mean, effective
Didn't
football.
have anything like the players. Didn't have anything like the players Aston Villa had access to. Didn't have anything like the financial injection at the start of the year.
All right, let's move on. The rest of the Matchweek 37 results then. Watford 0, Man City 4. This was Hayden Mullins.
VAR was dreadful. And if Villa do stay up, guess what's kept them up? That VAR decision in that goalless draw that they had. So VAR was introduced because we cannot afford these kind of mistakes ever again. Guess what? VAR could well be responsible for relegating somebody other than Aston Villa. Get rid of it now.
There you go.
So we're not going to talk about VAR anymore, Des.
You can't not talk about it when it makes such catastrophic mistakes. It was a sensational save by, I can't even think who the Watford defender was. It was a brilliant save. If Foster has made that save, everyone goes, wow, that's world class. Because it's a defender and VAR looks at it, decides it's not a penalty, even if it makes it 5-0 instead of 4-0, it's still a rank, awful, dreadful decision and completely abandons any pretense that VAR has value in this game.
Okay. Elsewhere, Brighton 0, Newcastle 0, Sheffield United 0, Everton 1, Richarlison with the winner there. Wolves 2, Crystal Palace 0. Daniel Podence with his first goal for the club. That win takes Wolves back into 6th position. So this is what the table looks like. It's all go for the top 4 going into the final round of matches. And at the bottom, which 2 to follow Norwich City down? All right, on to match week 38 then, of the longest Premier League season ever. And all eyes will be on the King Power Stadium. Should we come to you first, Des? I'm shuddering. Leicester City versus Man United. Des, it's great the fact that a 38 game season can come down to one game, to the final game of the season, and to so much riding on it for both teams as well.
Yeah, to come fourth is a real achievement.
Yeah, but we're talking we're talking about something like
that little dig,
£150
million or something, right?
Indeed, and don't get me going on that either. But okay, so yeah, you've got this. So for Leicester City fans on the Brendan Rodgers side, I'm wearing red. I'm lucky enough to come from the city, and Rodgers did a wonderful service to Liverpool. I really hope Leicester put off their recent poor run of form and are able to get themselves a result that propels them into the Champions League, because I think it'd be really, really harsh on a team who tried to play football the right way throughout the season, who've tried to be progressive, who've tried to do the good things, to fail at the very last hurdle. It'll be very, very tough for them to take. Man United will come again. Man United will spend £1 billion on whatever players that they need to do. But for Leicester, these chances, if they miss out on this one, it might not come again so quickly.
Bob,
yeah, I think.
Sorry, Craig.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers is quite used to slipping at the last hurdle, isn't he? So.
Not a Celtic fan, are you, Craig?
Oh, no, not at all.
I'm sure they'll be wishing United to win that.
But Leicester are already guaranteed European football. They're in the Europa League already. I mean, if you gave Brendan Rodgers that at the start of the season, he probably would have bitten your hands off. But the fact that they've been top 4 for most of the season, now it will be kind of deflating if they don't make Champions League football for next season, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a massive difference, obviously, between Champions League and Europa League anyway, isn't there? But for him to be in the Champions League positions for much of the season and then suddenly slip back at the last minute, it would be a devastating blow. Not quite as devastating as the Gerrard slip, but still a pretty serious blow to a very ambitious manager with quite an ego. So I don't know whether he could recover from that, actually, if they don't make it. I mean, he's not going to get sacked right away or anything. They're not Watford, Leicester. But, it would be a massive blow. I mean, to be right up there and coasting. They were coasting, weren't they, before the lockdown, into a Champions League position. In fact, they were second for quite a bit of the time. And then to fall down at the end, yes, it would raise the old doubts about Brendan Rodgers. Is he really made for the top end? Is he just a manager of a club like Swansea, or Celtic? Not that Celtic are a massive club, but Scottish League is not quite the Premier League, is it? I mean, he could win that at a canter, won everything there, but ditch them mid-season. Question marks about his loyalty and all that, which he still has to live down, I'm afraid. But I mean, taking Leicester into the Champions League is one way of getting back at his critics. Certainly, I think it's on a knife edge of that game, an absolutely fascinating game that could go either way, and that is obviously the game of the final day.
Yep. Also, with a lot riding on, is Chelsea versus Wolves, Craig Marias. Frank Lampard's Blues need 1 point at home against Wolves to seal a Champions League spot. And it's been a great season for Frank Lampard.
Yeah, it is. Whichever way you want to look at it, let's not forget, it's his first managerial experience in the Premier League. It's his second overall as a manager. So, I mean, to put Chelsea in the position that they're in right now, is absolutely fantastic, especially when you consider the transfer ban that they had earlier on in the season. He's managed to get them, playing. Obviously, defensively, they need to sort themselves out. But in terms of attacking football, he's really. They've been really exciting to watch. We spoke about the Leicester United game. That could be dependent on this game, the Chelsea Wolves, because if Wolves end up beating Chelsea, then United's result is irrelevant, really.
Then a draw between United and Leicester would probably send them both into the Champions League, and Chelsea will miss out then.
Correct.
Which will be
about Chelsea, mate.
It's going to be a great game, and it's going to be one where it'll be quite hard to call, because with Wolves, I think they can only finish fifth, can't they? I mean, I don't think they can go any lower. So there's not much on the table apart from pride for them. But Chelsea will be going all out for that. We saw, they can score goals, but they can be they can quite easily concede them as easily as they score them. Wolves going forward, we know the threat of Jimenez. Prudence, I was really impressed with the other night.
He looks great,
he looked really good, and it's a wonder he hasn't played or hasn't been as effective as he has been earlier on in the season. But they're a great side to watch, aren't they, Wolves? They've got some quality players there. So you've got two absolute spectacles on the table for me, going into the last day of the season, and we haven't even got down the other end of the table and spoken about them. So this could quite easily be one of the best finishes to the season for both ends of the table.
My only gripe is all the games are on at the same time. West Ham, Aston Villa. Des Corkill is, I guess it's a credit to Villa that they've taken it to the final day. We heard what you think about them. But again, it is intriguing. It is nail-biting. And Villa and West Ham, West Ham fans will be all right, but Villa fans will be biting their nails, won't they, Gogs?
Villa fans will be absolutely terrified because they'll, other than Trezeguet, without their first name, scoring goals, they haven't looked like they've got any kind of threat going forward. Pepe Reina's held them a little bit tighter defensively, along with Big Tyrone. But I can see West Ham playing with a rare amount of freedom, putting Villa in a very worrying position. And I can see West Ham enjoying themselves, finishing. I think they can move up a couple of places, West Ham, and people will go, we were never in danger of relegation. So I can see Villa having a very, very nervy look over their shoulder to what's going on at Goodison Park.
amazingly, Villa can still lose at West Ham as long as they don't lose by more than 2 goals. More than Watford. Watford are away at Arsenal, Bob. Now, I don't know. I don't know what kind of mood Arteta's Arsenal are going to be in. Will they be resting for the cup final the following weekend? Will they be kids playing? So many questions here. But Watford, well, they need a result, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. Arsenal, the big question, as you put it. We don't know which Arsenal will turn up. I mean, we've seen both sides in this restart, haven't we? They had bad luck to begin with, then they seem to sort themselves out, and they were impressive against Chelsea, against City in the semi-final. Very impressive. And it looks, to all intents and purposes, as if Mikel Arteta is actually sorting them out slowly. But there are still weaknesses. And I think one of the big weaknesses is of temperament. It's hard for a manager to sort out temperament. He can sort out a style of play and a formation. But if the heads are not right, that is very difficult. And his star man, we don't know whether he's going to stay or go. I mean, Aubameyang is undoubtedly their number one player and has made the difference in this project restart. He's got them to the final of the FA Cup. I mean, they can't afford to lose him, but he hasn't signed the contract. And we don't know whether he will or not. And this is going to have a very big bearing on Arsenal's next season. There's talk of him going to Man City. I can actually see him there. I could see him playing for Man City. I really think he could be the answer, to their finishing problems. Sometimes Gabriel Jesus is probably not quite as good as we thought he was going to be. So really big question, but I still think that against Watford, who are a poor side and have been held up, kept in the running by their goalkeeper, let's give a shout to Foster. I mean, he was at United. He looked as if he was going to be a successor to Peter Schmeichel for a while. He's 37 years old now, and he didn't quite cut it at United. Too many mistakes. But he's been a hero at Watford. I mean, he was the man of the match in that drubbing. I mean, it could have been 8 or 9, but for Ben Foster. He's 37 years old and still pretty agile. I could see this being a siege of the Watford goal and Foster keeping him out and Watford hanging on, and then maybe Aubameyang getting a late winner or something to put Watford down. I mean, it's got that written all over it,
Yeah.
I would put my money on Villa surviving, actually, of the two here, thanks to Arsenal just having enough to beat Watford.
All right. Foster might need a few cans of Fosters.
Oh,
Hey, do they still have Fosters? I don't know. That was in my day.
They do.
All right, okay. Everton versus Bournemouth. Des Corkill. Bournemouth are the longest odds to survive. They need help. They need Aston Villa and they need Watford to lose, which is also possible. But they need to go to Goodison Park and beat Everton. What do you think of Bournemouth? Out of all the sides down there, they're the most footballing side.
Absolutely. They tried to play football the right way. They've massively overachieved just by being anywhere near the top 3 divisions, never mind in the top flight. I think a lot of this depends on Everton's attitude, and Everton have disappointed many people, most importantly their supporters, by the way they've caved in at the end of this year. They had a decent win at Sheffield United, which says that they can produce results, but their style of football has really got the writers into the Liverpool Echo really, really on the back, not of Carlo Ancelotti. There's a lot of support for Ancelotti, but on the back of the players, and they're saying it's up to the board to support Carlo Ancelotti. But I think Everton are already at the COVID beach, and I think Bournemouth, ironically a seaside resort, could well come away from all the points at Goodison Park.
You see, that could be a massive twist. So here then are your final round of matches in this really strange EPL season so far. Other games we haven't mentioned: Burnley against Brighton, Crystal Palace against Tottenham. You've got Man City against Norwich, and of course Newcastle against Liverpool. I don't know what mood Jurgen Klopp is going to be in with the boys, but I don't know. That could be an 8-9 goal ding-dong match, that one. So those are your final round matches in the EPL. Let's get then some predictions from the guys. And we're going to start with you, Craig Marias. 100% hit on both your predictions. You showed off giving us 2 predictions last weekend. Got them both right. So what are you going for this weekend?
I'm actually going for the top end of the table. I can't not predict, the chase for the top 4. So I'm going to go with United. Letting my heart rule my head this time, I think. But I'm going to go with United to beat Leicester and Chelsea to beat Wolves.
Oh, another 2-pronged prediction from Craig Marias. Des.
So supporting Man United is a big shout these days, huh?
It is. It has been in the last few years, Des.
Well, just because it's that close, I think I can get away with this one.
Okay, Des, what's your big shout? Bournemouth to survive. You already said
Bournemouth to win at Everton, Watford and Villa to lose, Bournemouth to stay up in the Premier Division.
Because they're a footballing side, right?
Because they're a footballing side. Watford morally to go down just because they're Watford. Villa to go down because they are objectively awful. And Bournemouth to get the reward that Eddie Howe. Remember everyone was saying Eddie Howe, future England coach and all this not so long ago. He hasn't changed the way Bournemouth have tried to play. I think he deserves immense credit for that. Watford are morally abject and Villa are just abject.
You can't say fairer than that. That just leaves Bob Holmes. Bob, what's your big shout?
I'm wondering if there's any match left for me. You seem to have covered half the fixtures, if not more, you two. Scouring the fixture list here. No, I think I've got to go back to Leicester and United. I've got a feeling Leicester could actually pip United here. I think United did look tired. Des's dreaded word, tired or whatever. They didn't look quite up for it, did they, the other night? And I think they possibly timed their run for the post a little too soon. And now they're running out of puff at the final stage with that draw against West Ham. And now facing a tough away game at Leicester. So I take Leicester to get the 4th place in the Champions League.
So there you go. 3 big shouts for the weekend. Actually, more. 2 from Craig there. That's it. We're done. We're going to be back talking FA Cup football as soon as Bob finishes his beer. But for now, thanks to the guys. Bob Holmes, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the football.
Yeah, thanks to you, Craig Marias. Let's hope you're happy like I am on Monday.
Thank you very much, Ross.
And Des Corkill, on you go with your celebrations this weekend then.
Indeed, I'm celebrating the mighty Reds. I'm very, very privileged to be from the city of Liverpool, but I'm also very proud of Malaysian football and some news. Malaysian football's on its way back. August the 22nd, the league will recommence when PJ City take on Terengganu, and then August the 26th, it kicks off in earnest. So support your local clubs. You can't get down there, but we'll try to arrange some television coverage. Write into your newspapers, give your support, get behind your local clubs, because it will provide you with so much heartwarming passion or despair that you will never, ever, ever forget it.
That's enough passion to last you the entire season. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.
Cheers.